Oleksandr Usyk has called out Deontay Wilder. In this interview right here on IFL TV, he said out of all the top heavyweights in the world, Wilder is the one who he'd like to face first and foremost. Now, Deontay Wilder recently said that Oleksandr Usyk is no threat to him, that he's too small. Well, that shouldn't be an issue for Deontay in terms of fighting Usyk, because most of Deontay's opponents, or a very large proportion of Deontay's opponents at least, have been cruiserweights or former cruiserweights throughout his career. So that shouldn't stop him from fighting Usyk. Also, a couple years back, some of you may remember that Deontay said it's his ambition to actually drop down to cruiserweight and win a world title there, because so many cruiserweights have moved up to heavyweight, like Evander Holyfield, David Haye, etc., and won world honors at heavyweight, but nobody's ever done the reverse. And he said he'd like to do the reverse. So again, this is a guy who has no problem fighting cruiserweights. So he shouldn't have any problem fighting Oleksandr Usyk, a man who is one of the top 2 cruiserweights of all time, next to Evander Holyfield. Holyfield, of course, stepped up to heavyweight after being the cruiserweight champion, undisputed cruiserweight champion, and became undisputed heavyweight champion. So Usyk is trying to follow in those footsteps. And, if there's any cruiserweight out there who can do that, it's him. He's got tremendous pedigree, Olympic gold medalist. I mean, this is not somebody who anybody in the heavyweight division can look at as an easy fight. So let's see if Deontay accepts this challenge anytime soon. I strongly suspect that he won't. I strongly suspect that either Deontay or more likely his handlers, Al Heyman, Shelly Finkel, etc., will avoid this fight like the plague, because Deontay is a puppet and he has very little control over his career in terms of who he fights. Now, there's a video here from several years ago, 2015. This was when Vladimir was still world champion. And he was asked about Deontay Wilder. And of course, he had sparred Deontay Wilder, and various different people said that Wilder was dropped and seriously hurt in sparring against Vladimir Klitschko, including James Ali Bashir, by the way. And our prayers go out to James Ali Bashir at this moment. But James Ali Bashir said it, Andy Lee said it, Johnny Nelson said it. They all witnessed Deontay Wilder getting his rocked in those sparring sessions with Klitschko, and that he did not hold up well. And subsequent to that, when Wilder became champion, he avoided Klitschko like the plague. And we know that he ducked Klitschko because Shelly Finkel, immediately after Wilder beat Berman Stavern for the title, Shelly Finkel's made it very, very clear that he was going to keep Deontay away from Vladimir Klitschko. So that's not speculation. That's not something anybody can argue about. Deontay was kept away from Klitschko the whole time Klitschko was champion. And even after Klitschko lost his belt to Fury, he was still kept away from Klitschko. But anyway, in this interview right here from 2015, when Klitschko still had the titles, he says that Deontay needs to step up his level of opposition. He's not being horrible about it. He's being polite. If you watch this interview, he says he needs to step up his level of opposition. But it's not really Deontay picking his opponents. It's more his team. And Vladimir Klitschko should know, because he's worked with Shelly Finkel. So he's basically saying that Shelly Finkel / Al Heyman are the ones picking Wilder's opponents, and Wilder has very little say over who he's fighting. I strongly suspect it's still the same today. He might have a little more say now, but not much more. Now, interestingly, Anthony Joshua has expressed his desire to face Oleksandr Usyk. It's not the first time. He's expressed his desire to fight him several times before. To be fair, it's an in-house fight, right? Both guys are with Matchroom. Usyk at least co-promoted by Matchroom. So, some would say, well, the thing with Wilder is that he tries to fight in-house fights as much as he can. And out in terms of fighting people who are not promoted by PBC and managed by Shelly Finkel, all that kind of stuff. in terms of not fighting PBC guys, there are very few, very calculated risks that he takes, like the Fury fight, for example. But for the most part, they try to keep it in-house. Well, Joshua has fought plenty of people outside of Matchroom, dangerous fighters outside of Matchroom. But moving forward, will it be the same? Or will Joshua and Hearn start going down the same route as Wilder and fighting a lot more in-house fights? I mean, Eddie Hearn's stable is so big now, there are plenty of good in-house fights to be made. Obviously, I don't like promoters or advisors, in the case of Al Heyman, trying to keep everything in-house because it robs us boxing fans of fights we want to see. But nonetheless, we have to deal with the possibility that this may start to happen even more so because the teams behind these fighters can get anxious, you know? Now, one thing I will say is that up until this point, you know, up until AJ lost to Ruiz, he appeared to have a lot of control over who he was fighting and what he was doing. And how do we know this? Well, for example, when Jarrell Miller was, well, he didn't pull out of the AJ fight, but, you know, he failed those tests and he was basically disqualified from fighting AJ. When they were looking for a replacement opponent, AJ wanted to fight Luis Ortiz, and his team advised him against it. But AJ pushed ahead and said, no, I want Ortiz, and multiple offers were made to Team Ortiz, serious offers, real offers, career high payday offers, but Ortiz turned it down. He then, you know, looked at a few other opponents, and Andy Ruiz was one of them. He said he wanted to fight Ruiz. Again, his team, including his trainer, Robert McCracken, said, nah, let's not do that fight. It's too dangerous at short notice. But Anthony Joshua overruled his trainer, Robert McCracken, and said, no, I'm going ahead and fighting Andy Ruiz. And obviously Eddie Hearn said, yep, okay, cool, we'll do that. So it appears as though AJ's had a lot of control over who he fights. I'm not saying he's completely autonomous, but he certainly appears to have had a decent degree of control, because if you've got the ability to say, I want Luis Ortiz at short notice, somebody that dangerous, that says a lot. You know, Deontay Wilder, whenever he's taken on short notice opponents, they've never been very dangerous. Artur Spilka was a short notice opponent, and there have been several others throughout his career, short notice. Never been very dangerous. But back to the main topic of this video, Oleksandr Usyk. You know, and in fact, before I get onto that, AJ, although he's still talking about how he'd like to fight Usyk, he needs to concentrate on Ruiz. Forget about thinking of future fights. Concentrate on the fight that's right in front of you. The guy who just whooped you. That's what you need to concentrate on. But yeah, the main topic here, Oleksandr Usyk calling out Deontay Wilder. Will Wilder accept the challenge? I seriously doubt it. I expect Wilder and his team to come up with 10 million excuses as to why they can't or won't fight Oleksandr Usyk. They'll be downplaying Usyk, making him out to be trash, saying, oh, he did stuff at cruiserweight, but who is he at heavyweight? When the reality is, Oleksandr Usyk is better than probably anybody other than Tyson Fury, you know, in terms of being proven. He's better than anybody that Deontay Wilder has fought. I mean, even somebody like Luis Ortiz. Ortiz fought at 200 pounds in the amateurs. Ortiz, realistically, is no bigger than Usyk. It's just that because he's old, and as you get older, you know, it's more difficult to get the fat off. Because he's old, he's gone up in weight. God knows how old Ortiz really is. 45? I mean, when Usyk is 45, he'll probably weigh 240 pounds. So really and truly, Usyk and Ortiz are about the same size. 6'3", similar kind of reach, similar kind of dimensions. Both fought at 200 pounds in the amateurs. And Usyk has fought at heavier than 200 pounds as well, like when he was in the World Series of Boxing. So it's the same size as Ortiz, but somebody with a way better amateur record than Luis Ortiz, Oleksandr Usyk. That's facts. There's only really Fury that you could make an argument could be better than Usyk at heavyweight in terms of the opponents that Deontay Wilder has faced. Because Fury's obviously a huge guy, has great skills, outboxed Klitschko, and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, you know, this would be, other than Fury, and he might be better than Fury, we don't know yet. as a heavyweight. We'll see. But if you take Fury out of the equation, Usyk would be far and away the best opponent that Deontay Wilder would have faced as a professional. But will Deontay Wilder face him? I seriously doubt it. I hope I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I'll be happy to put my hands up and say that I'm wrong, because it's a fight I want to see. But again, once we will see Shelley Finkel and Al Heyman, the puppet masters, step in and keep Deontay Wilder well away from that fight. That's my prediction. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.